This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 10 in the National Football League. The Arizona Cardinals at home, looking to get back on track versus the San Francisco 49ers. A win here would put the Arizona Cardinals just a smidge over 500 at 4-4-1, or is that 500? I don't know. When you throw a tie in there, it kind of confuses me. Probably 500 on the season. Either way, it's a big opportunity for the Arizona Cardinals to try to get their act together, get back into that NFC West race, and maybe even be able to get a little bit of a jump on the Seattle Seahawks, who are going to be playing in New England, hard and tough place to get a victory. So this could be an opportunity to get a game closer to the Seahawks in the NFC West division. Got to handle a little bit of family business. We know how that goes. 49ers just looking to snap their 6-game losing streak. Won the first game of the season in convincing fashion. Haven't won since. Here's an opportunity against a well-known opponent. When it's family, all bets are off. You know how it goes. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. We're going to jump into this breakdown here in a second. But first, welcome to the Louie Tee Network. If you haven't done so already, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. A lot of different things we're doing here, trying to change the game. Want you to help me do that by hitting that red subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie Tee Network. Like I said, we're changing the game over here. Need your help to do so. Go ahead and be a part of the movement on the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. The best and most efficient way to follow the progress of this channel, to get the updates as to when I'm going live or posting a video on my channel, is through Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. So if you want to just chop it up and talk football, or you just want to keep up with what's going on the Louie Tee Network so you don't miss out, Twitter is going to be your best avenue to do so. Make sure you follow me on Twitter @InTheLabRoom, and also I'm on Facebook. Facebook page is In the Lab Room on Facebook, so go ahead and give me the thumbs up there. Going to do some innovative things there a little bit later down the road. Go ahead, get ahead of the curve, like the Facebook page so that you don't miss anything there as well. So make sure you like, follow, and most importantly, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network on YouTube. And again, if you're watching this via YouTube and you happen to be on Twitter at the same time, or you're watching this and you are in the YouTube chat discussion box and you want your comment to be read, make sure you use the hashtag #LouieTLive. That being said, let's break this game down. The final Sunday game here on Lockdown Coverage in week number 10 to be broken down. And we start with the likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. The likes in the first half for the visiting team, that being the San Francisco 49ers in this ball game. And we start with Keith Reeser forcing a fumble of J.J. Nelson. A big play at that time in the game. Great field position after the forced fumble. You're hoping the 49ers can do something with that. They promptly go 3 and out and punt the football back. So it's a wasted opportunity. You'd love to see them do something with that. Having a kicker like Phil the Boot, you don't need much. Just get a few yards there. Maybe you can get into field goal range. They didn't do so, had to punt the football. Hate to see them, a team that doesn't score a ton of points and doesn't have enough margin of error to squander opportunities like this. You hate to see them waste something like great field position after a fumble is forced by the defense. And then the response to the 14-0 deficit, they give up a touchdown to David Johnson, and that gives the Cardinals a 14-0 lead. At this point, you're thinking, okay, 49ers about to cave in, and they're about to get blown out in this football game. And Colin Kaepernick takes his team on a 6-play, 75-yard drive. Jeremy Curley wide open in the back of the end zone. He finds him after buying some time, and they get the touchdown. And that was an impressive drive. He hits Vance McDonald for a nice chunk play, uses his legs a couple of times, and then finds Curley in the end zone. And Curley makes amends for a fumble that he had earlier in the game. So that was a huge possession. I thought that kept them in the game. Without that touchdown, I don't know if the 49ers remain relevant in this game. I don't know if this team is able mentally to be tough enough to stick in this game without some points to stay within striking distance. That was a huge touchdown in this game. You go to the first half likes for the Arizona Cardinals. The diving grabs early caught my attention. This offense has been lackluster to me this season, and they're missing something, and I still can't quite put my finger on it. Really, I think the biggest thing that they're missing offensively has been wide receiver Michael Floyd. His absence in this offense and his lack of playmaking ability, his inability to make catches, to dropping the football, the confidence that has been lost by the coaching staff on him throughout the early portion of the season, them benching him and him not playing as much. I think he's a guy, and they call him the X Factor in Arizona. He's the guy that makes this offense sort of go in the passing game. We know David Johnson is a guy that makes this offense go overall, along with Larry Fitzgerald. But to me, I guess X Factor is the right term to use when you're talking about Michael Floyd, because when he's right offensively, this Arizona Cardinals offense is right. The passing game is right. Everything kind of flows together. When he's not, I feel like they're missing something there. And thought he had an excellent first half. He's actually on my likes list in the first half, so I'll go ahead and couple that in now. He made a great diving stab. Then Larry Fitzgerald followed that up with the diving stab, and that led to the first touchdown of the game for the Arizona Cardinals, which ended up being a DJ catch and run for a touchdown. So those diving grabs, and I thought Floyd ignited that early in this game, got them started early in this ball game offensively. Fumble recovery by the Arizona Cardinals on a Jeremy Curley fumble. I thought at first that it was a bad call, and I thought replay would overturn it. But as I looked at it, and I actually slowed it down, I don't think the punter, yes, it was a punt. I don't think he actually got a piece of Curley's ankle. So because of that, no one touched him. He fumbled. He wasn't down. So maybe that was a fumble. I struggled with that because it just seemed like he was touched. But I don't think he was. And the call on the field was a fumble. They didn't have enough to overturn it. So it remained a fumble, and they were able to take advantage of that recovery, turn that into a DJ touchdown run after they get a pass interference call that made it a lot easier for them to get down there and then get into the end zone. It's 14-0. At that point, you'd love to see Arizona just run away with this game, leave the San Francisco 49ers. And once that doubt starts to creep in with bad teams, that's your opportunity. You're up 14-0. That doubt is starting to seep in. And right away, immediately, the 49ers go down the field, 6 plays, 75 yards, get in the end zone, and put all of that doubt to rest. So the Arizona Cardinals didn't do a great job of putting them away on that next possession. In baseball, they would call that a closeout inning. Or a shutdown inning. You needed to come out after scoring some runs and shut the other team down that very next inning. And the Arizona Cardinals didn't do a good job of having that shutdown inning after scoring on that next possession. Getting a field goal before the half, that could have easily been a touchdown. It was 17-10 at that time in the game. If they get in the end zone, go up 24-10, you're back into that scenario, up 2 scores, up 2 touchdowns, up 14 points, where you were at 14-0, where this game could get out of hand. Instead, the 49ers defensively buckled down right around the end zone and forced the Arizona Cardinals to kick a field goal going into halftime at 20-10. But again, still points for the Cardinals. Love it, want more of it. You know how I feel about getting points before the half. 20-10 is your halftime score. You go to the first half dislikes now. We go back to the San Francisco 49ers. Jeremy Curley with the punt return fumble. That allowed the Arizona Cardinals to get into the end zone a little bit later on that drive. So that's 14-0 at that point. That was a big play at the time. You get a Jimmy Ward pass interference penalty on that drive, and then DJ ends up running it in for a touchdown. So 14-0 there after that Jeremy Curley fumble. That was a huge turning point in the first half. As far as the Arizona Cardinals are concerned and their dislikes for the first half, Carson Palmer with a fumble in the red zone. J.J. Nelson with his fumble. Great play by one of the 49er defenders to force the fumble. I want to say it was Keith Reeser who forced that fumble out. Nelson catches the football, takes a couple of steps, looks like he's about to make a move, and then the football is punched out. Big play by the Arizona Cardinals there to get that fumble, or a big play by the 49ers, rather, to get that fumble out and force that turnover. You go back to the likes, and we go to the second half, and we go back to the San Francisco 49ers, and Eli Harold forcing a fumble of Carson Palmer. That was huge because early in the third quarter, early in the second half, Cardinals have a chance to really bust this game open. They're up 20-10. A touchdown there puts them up 17. This game's done. There's no way the 49ers are scoring 27 points, 30 to win. There's no way. This game's done. If they kick a field goal, you're still asking an inept offense to score 2 touchdowns and score 24 points in a game. Again, I don't see the 49ers doing that. So this is a huge forced fumble by Eli Harold to get to Carson Palmer, who's rolling out of the pocket, who's trying to buy time, strip the football, and recover it. That's a huge play by the 49ers defense. 45-yard cap to Patton hookup after that fumble leads to a Phil Dawson, Phil the boot 53-yard field goal to cut the score to 1 possession at 20-13. Huge turn of events there. So you go from a potential field goal or a touchdown being scored to a field goal of your own to cut it down to a 1-score lead. Thought that was huge for the San Francisco 49ers at that point in the game. Eric Reed with an interception. Ball caroms off the hands of J.J. Nelson, who had a rough afternoon. Talked about the fumble already. Had this ball go off his hands. Probably should have caught this football. Caroms into the air, and on cue, Eric Reed steps in, dives, picks it off, and gives the San Francisco 49ers some great field position that they would squander. Again, you hate to see them waste this kind of field position, much like the Keith Reeser forced fumble on J.J. Nelson early in the game. They were able to do nothing with this field position. But Bradley Pinion did pin the 49ers at inside the 5-yard line on that possession. So you saw them being able to at least pin them deep, but they would allow the Cardinals to escape the shadow of their own goal line there. So it did not prove to be beneficial as it should have been. And then the biggest play of the game for the 49ers, Gerald Hodges with an interception under 3 minutes in the game, under 4 minutes in the game. Cardinals are threatening to go down the field and put this game on ice. Really, they don't even have to score any points. If they continue to get first downs, this game's going to be over. And instead, Gerald Hodges able to make this interception, give the football back to the 49ers, and then they went down the field. Colin Kaepernick makes a couple of big throws, one to Jeremy Curley, who makes an excellent catch out of bounds, and then Kaepernick uses his legs to get into the end zone on a 3rd down to tie the football game up at 20. So huge turn of events. You go from potentially having this game go in the favor of the Cardinals to having an interception to tying the game up, and now you're right here where you want to be. This is a hard-fought game by the San Francisco 49ers, battling after being down by as much as 14 in the first half, and much of the second half being down by 10. They battled and got this game tied at 20. You go to the Arizona Cardinals second half likes. For me, it's the final game-winning drive. They did nothing in the second half. Remember, the score was 20-10 at halftime, and it literally was 20-20 with 2 minutes left in the football game. And so this was a situation where you say, well, damn, they didn't do much, but when the game was on the line, they moved it right down the field, got into Catanzaro field goal range, and he bangs it home. And we know the struggles. Those have been chronicled this season with the misses against Seattle and New England. We know about all the struggles in the kicking game, Buffalo, et cetera, but they got it done here. Operation was flawless. They put the football down. Catanzaro kicks it through the uprights from 34 yards and gives the Arizona Cardinals the victory, 23-20. Larry Legend is on my likes list as well. Huge plays in this game. Remember, he left this game with an injury, comes back into the ball game, had a monster performance, got it done. He was huge in this game. And so Larry, he just continues to get it done. This guy is just timeless, and he continues to be a big part of why this Arizona Cardinals team remains relevant in this league. You go to the dislikes in the second half for the San Francisco 49ers. It's the penalty after the Eric Reed interception. They get 2 holding penalties back-to-back, forces them out of field goal range. They end up having to punt the football. It's just what bad teams do in this league. You got a situation where you get great field position, get a chance to get some points on the scoreboard, and instead you go in reverse and end up having to punt the football way further back than where the actual return from the interception ended. So it's just a bad turn of events there for the 49ers. But like I said, that's what teams that aren't good in this league, that's what one-win teams in Week 10 do. And also you go to the Arizona Cardinals and their second half dislikes. Wasted opportunity, or Carson Palmer's fumble in the red zone. Talked about that already. Big play by Eli Harold to force that fumble out. Carson Palmer throws an interception. J.J. Nelson has the ball, carry him off his hands. Probably should have been caught, but of course, that's going to be charged to Palmer's account. And then obviously the second interception, that was a big no-no. You can't throw that interception at that point in the game. You just can't have that happen. And that's been the story for this team, and the story of Carson Palmer too many times this season, making some really bad decisions and throws in the most inopportune times. So they still get the job done. They still win the game. They get to 4-1 on the season, 23-20. Cardinals find a way to get it done. It wasn't pretty. And after scoring 20 first half points to only score 3 in the second half, that's just not what you're looking for from this Cardinals team. But as long as you find a way to win, that's all that matters. And that's what they did in this football game. As for the 49ers, I thought they played their hearts out. Give them some credit. They could have folded a couple of times in this game, and they didn't. I was actually impressed with Colin Kaepernick in this game. He still has a long way to go, but you see the maturation. He's starting to get comfortable in his Chip Kelly scheme. He's starting to be a little bit more accurate with the football. He's starting to look more like the guy that took this team to 2 NFC championship games than the guy that looked lost the last couple of seasons at the end of Harbaugh's tenure in last season as well with the injury. So this is something that I think you can be positive with if you're the 49ers and the fan base. The defense, they played excellent in the second half of this game. They actually played well enough to win in this football game, forcing the turnovers, doing some of the things that they did in this game, not giving up any points until the final drive. You would have loved to have seen the offense take advantage of some of these turnovers that they generated in this game, but they didn't. But like I said, it's family business. I'm not going to go too far with this 49ers performance because it's easy to play well against a team in the division. It's a lot harder when you play against teams that you're not familiar with. And so I don't know if this is something that you can take and be excited about or not moving forward. But this was a really good performance by the 49ers, but they still fell short at 23-20. Let's get to some of your comments here. K. Michael says, as a Palmer fantasy owner, should I drop or trade him away? You are holding it down, brother. I appreciate that. I probably would hold on to him. He still threw for over 300 yards in this game. Michael Floyd is actually catching the football now, so you might see an uptick in his production moving forward. I thought the passing game actually was a positive in this game, except for the 2 turnovers. You'd like to see them get in the end zone a little bit more than they did, but Palmer's still having trouble taking care of the football like he should. But that being said, this is an explosive offense with a number of playmakers. And as long as all of those guys remain healthy, Palmer is going to stockpile yards, and eventually they're going to get in the end zone. He's probably due for a big day coming up here shortly against some bad football team. So if I were you, I would hold on to Palmer, even though I know he hasn't been the best player for you in your fantasy league this season. Arizona Animal says, shouldn't have been that close. 4 turnovers by us. Shaking my head. Sloppy game by us. Plus terrible play calling by Bruce Arians. We all had to do is kill the clock, kick a field goal, but Arians wants to throw. That's Bruce Arians' nature. This is who he's been. So it shouldn't be a surprise to you. Arians loves to throw the football. Again, sometimes it's like pulling teeth with him to get him to run the football and understand that your best player is David Johnson. Why not turn around and hand it off to him? Going into this game, the San Francisco 49ers had given up a 100-yard rusher 7 games in a row, yet David Johnson doesn't get the football over 20 times in this game. Explain that to me, please, because I don't understand that logic. But again, it's Bruce Arians. He loves to throw the football. We don't question him because a lot of times he gets it done. But again, I didn't agree with the play calling either. Late in the game, all you had to do was run it like you said. You're up 7. There's no need to be still throwing the football as if you need to score points. But again, that's the Bruce Arians way. And if you look around the league, hell, that's probably 60 to 70% of the league's way. Throwing a football instead of running it when you have a chance to salt the game away. But in any event, the Cardinals get the job done. Like I said, it shouldn't have been this close. You're right. 4 turnovers will kill any team. Normally, you don't win with 4 turnovers, but they got it done 23-20, win the football game, get to 4-4-1 on the season, and the San Francisco 49ers drop to 1-7. That's going to do it for me here on Lockdown Coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on Lockdown Coverage on the Louie Tee Network. I will see you guys after the Monday Night Football game. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you then. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the Monday Night Football game. We will be back to break it down on Monday Night Football overtime. See you then.